Okay, here is today's video lesson. This is my winter scene ornament. This is the back. Now on the back I painted it with these silver stars, but you could put Merry Christmas or just leave it plain, whatever you like to do. This was a lot of fun. We did some metal powders with this. We did some ice crystal with it. You can kind of see the shimmer on it right there. And it was just a fun little project to do. So let's get started on this cute, adorable winter scene ornament. And those of you that paint this, please send me pictures. Email me or get on Facebook and send me pictures. I'd love to see your projects when you finish them. Alright, let's get going. Okay, we're going to get started on this winter scene ornament right here. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is take our compass and open it up to about 3/4 of an inch. Then lay it, oops, I turned it the correct way. I'm just going to put it right there and turn my table. Oops, I'm getting caught on my stuff back here. Okay, so the remainder of that we can just kind of draw that in and connect those lines to create this oval. Okay, so we should have an oval right there in the center because this is an oval, sort of an oval shape here. Okay, and this pattern only has 4 colors, which I really like about this. Now I have base coated this piece gray sky, just as an undercoat. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I did because I just like to do that. So we are going to paint the inside of this circle in with winter blue. Yes, winter blue. Yes. I forgot what color I was using there for a second. And we're going to put 2 coats of winter blue on here. Now when we go to paint the outside area here, we're going to just come straight across over the top there. And on the bottom we're going to do the same thing. Just kind of finish off our circle oval shape right there. We'll be painting this outside section here with Admiral Blue. I've got a 1/2 inch flat brush here that I'm going to be using to fill in the circles. Now on my instructions, because on my original piece I used some, some green stretchy tape here, and I taped off to paint that. But you don't have to do that. There we go. You don't have to do that. If you don't have the tape, then you can just paint it in. So, this was a fun little piece when I designed it. I think it was last year sometime. Had a lot of fun doing it, creating it. As I do with all my designs, I really enjoy designing and creating my pieces. So winter blue in the middle. And then the top and the bottom, like this piece right here and this piece right here, we're just going to leave them that gray color. We're going to be putting some metal powder on there and giving that some shine. And the Admiral Blue goes on the outside. I'm going to stay with the same 1/2 inch flat I'm using. I want you to use whatever brush is comfortable for you. And I'll just get a quick coat started here so you can see what this will be looking like. So we're going to have this darker blue on the outside. Okay. Alright, so I want you to go and get your base coats done and then come back and we're going to start creating in the center here. Okay, so I've got my base coats on here with my winter blue and my Admiral blue, and I went ahead and did the back. The back is Admiral blue and the sides are Admiral blue. Okay, so now we're going to start creating a little bit of background stuff in here. So I've got my 1/2 inch flat again, and I'm going to double load it with Admiral blue. Okay, and winter blue. My paint's a little dry, it's starting to get a little dry. Too much water in my brush. You can see right there on my, I want water because I want this to move. I don't want it to be thick paint on my brush. I want it to be pretty thin. I think I will dampen this with some water, just because I don't want my paint to be thick. I want to be able to move it. And I could use extender glazing medium as well, but those take a little while to dry, and I don't want to have to mess with it drying. Okay, so we're going to create the sky here. So we just want to take this and start. Kind of mixing it in there and brushing it back and forth. I'm going to come down to, let's see how my pattern shows here. Letting those kind of blend out on their own. Try and keep it off of that Admiral blue on the sides, but since it's a solid color, we can go back and touch it up. Alright, give me my mop brush. I'm going to mop this just a little bit while it's still really wet. You cannot mop once it's dry. See, this down here is already dried, so I can't mop that because it's already dry. Okay, now I want to pick up some winter blue and white on my brush. So I washed it out. Now I've got winter blue and white. And we're going to do this down below. I don't think I've got my line very straight on here, but that's okay. I'll work it out. Got it head on here because I keep turning it and getting an angle, so I'm getting cattywampus here. Okay, we want these two colors to kind of blend like they did on the top. Get some clean water here on my brush. I want to go into the dirty water because then it will, oh, what I just did, pick that up off of my paper towel, that blue right there. Blend it away. I washed my brush off and I had plenty of water on my brush, so I could just blend that right away. Okay. Picked up a little bit more white, a bit too much, so let me wipe it off. I don't want it to be so much one color. I want it to be more streaky. We're going to add some color on top of here. Okay, I want to touch up just a little bit in the sky. So I'm going to go back to my brush. I'm going to dampen this again. Just a little bit. Not a lot. A little bit too much. I just want to streak a little bit more of this in there. This guy to have a little bit more character. I'm just going to go right on out into that outer edge there because it is creating lines, making me stop in a funny way, and I don't like that. clean my brush. That's still pretty wet, so I may be able to just wipe that back with a damp brush. I'll have to touch it up, I think. Okay. Quick touching up here. Just to wash up this color. Okay. Well, let's see if I've got my line in the right place for putting my pattern on. I'm going to dry this real quick. Hold it up because I want to look at my line to see if I need to adjust that. I think I'll be alright once I get my trees and everything on there. I think the horizon line will be okay. You normally do not want to split a horizon line straight down the center, because that is not appealing, but I will adjust with my trees and everything on here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my pattern on, just my basic stuff here, like my house and where my trees are going to be. So I'm going to use a gray graphite. I'm not going to push very hard because I don't want a lot of graphite lines in this. Oops, I just moved it, so not good. And I have my graphite upside down anyway, so. Alright. I am going to have to turn my ceiling fan off, I think. It just gets way too hot in here otherwise. But it's blowing everything, everywhere. Okay. Up here. Okay, I know I want trees over here, back here, you know, distant trees and stuff. So that's all we're going to put on there for right now. And I know that you cannot see my pattern lines, but I can see them, so that's what we're going to go with. First, we're going to start by adding some clouds in the back. I'm cleaning my mop brush. I know I show this on every video, but for someone who's not seen one of my videos before, I'm going to show it again. So you use your mop brush dry, and to clean it, you go to a damp, preferably a clean place on your paper towel, and you clean the paint out of it. And then you're going to go to a dry place, and you're going to get all the moisture out of it. As easy as that. Okay, let's start with some clouds here. And you can use a filbert brush, you can use an angle brush, you can use a flat brush. You can make clouds with any kind of brush that you want to use. So I've got this flat brush in my hand. Since I've been using it, I'm just going to keep using it. I want you to use whatever brush you feel the most comfortable using. So we're just going to create some distant kind of cloud lines back in here. Nothing major or big. It's just a little bit of. It's a nighttime sky, so we don't need to see a whole lot. You know, I mean, the moon's going to be out. It's going to be bright and shining, but. So I've just got paint just on one corner. And the other corner is, the other side of the brush is wet, so I can take it and soften stuff out and pull it out and create some. Just put that through my moon, but that's okay because we want clouds around our moon. We'll bring them a little bit down here. I might add a little bit bigger cloud right there. Get just a little bit on this side. I don't know what the trees are going to cover up. So, and this is such a small piece, we don't have to get too technical back in there. So we've got a few clouds for nighttime, and after I add the moon in, we may come back in and, you know, do a little bit more. But for now, that's good. Okay, so we want to start with the moon. I'm going to take a round brush. And we're going to paint the moon in with winter blue. Get some fresh winter blue out. Okay, good here. Try to keep it as round as possible. I have to tilt this up a little bit more so you can see this better. Okay, keep it on here without it sliding off. I had to take my camera down the other day and I don't know that I've got it adjusted where it needs to be. Okay, while it's wet, we're going to take some white and dab some white in the moon. And now I'm going to wipe that off, and I just want to dab it and kind of blend it. Tap it with my finger. I want to give some, I'll pick up a little bit more winter blue. I've got too much white in there. I just want to create that look that the moon has sometimes at night. You could add a little bit of the, I'm going to have to adjust my camera. I do not like the angle that it is shooting down on this, so let me do that real quick. Okay, that's a little bit better. You could add some of the darker blue in here if you want. You know how the moon has dark areas in it. That is completely up to you. It's your moon. Whatever you want it to do, you can do. So now we want to add a little glow around the moon. So I'm going to take a crescent brush. This is a 1/4 inch crescent brush. And we're going to dry brush. So to do that, we're going to take a dry paper towel. Okay. We are going to dip into, let's see, what color did I use? It says I used white, so I've got white on my brush. I just tapped it on there a little bit. Now I'm going to go over here and get pretty much all the paint off of it. Now I'm going to go up here and put some of this to create a glow around the moon. I'm just gently rubbing. I start giving more pressure as I can tell how much paint is coming off, or if I feel like I'm running out of paint. I can get more and more pressure on the moon right there. So now we've got a nice little glow around that moon. Okay? Alright, now we're going to work on some distant trees. Now I use a filbert brush to do my trees. So I'm going to use a 4 filbert. Okay, and we are going to do Admiral Blue for the distant ones. I could not find my original ornament, so I'm going from a photograph that I have, which is not a very good photograph at that. So this may end up looking nothing like my original one, but I'll give it a shot. Okay, so to create our trees, we are just gonna, this is just simple little dabbing motions. So I'm gonna put a little tree back in here. So I'm just dabbing back and forth, creating a little tree back there. Okay, we'll just put a few in the background. This is just with Admiral Blue. I don't have hardly any paint on my brush at all. Just a dabbing little thing. We'll come back and add a little bit lighter color back in there. Let's see. I'm going to go, I need a little water in my brush, so I'll get some water and a little bit more paint. I want it to be able to move a little bit easier. Okay, that was a little dark, I thought, so I just touched it back with my finger. We'll be adding some trees in front of these, so we won't see some of these at all. It's just a back and forth dabbing. Now I'm going to have some bigger trees over here, but just in case there's something peeking through, it doesn't quite get covered up. I want to put some trees over here. We're just going to keep building some trees in here. A couple more smaller ones back in here. We may not even end up seeing those, but by the time we get some of the fronter ones on here. Okay, I want to stay with this Admiral Blue. I'm going to mix a little bit of Winter Blue in it. So I just took my Admiral Blue and then I dipped into my Winter Blue and then I just mixed them together right there. So it's pretty much equal parts. I'll put this on here and see. I may want to go a little bit darker. I may want to have a little bit darker trees in here. So, yep, I'm going to have to add some more Admiral Blue. So it'll be 2 Admiral Blue to 1. And I know right now I am not putting my trees in the exact same place that I put my original ones. So, again, it's just a dabbing back and forth. Giving just a little bit more pressure on the brush as you get down to the bottom of the tree. Okay, and we are going to come back and add snow on that. Let's see. I want a big old tree here. So we go out farther. The tree gets bigger as it comes down. You can decide where the tree stops. You don't want them all to stop in the same spot. Be different heights, I think. Different areas on the horizon there, I guess. Just mixing up a little bit more. I'm not going to do these trees over here until I do the house. So I think I will stop with the trees for a minute and we will go do the house. Okay, it is based in with Winter Blue. So I'm just going to use a round brush. You won't see this very well because the background is Winter Blue, but the background has a little bit of white in it. Not a whole lot. I'm going to put a little bit of this on the roof to lighten it up because we're putting snow on here. But I want to have to put so much white from the color of the sky being so dark. So I think I might mix a little bit of white in there with that Winter Blue. And that way I can tell where the roof is. I don't know why I just did that. That's not the roof. I can hear y'all out there yelling at me. She's not painting the roof, she's painting the front of the house. Yep, that's exactly what I was doing. So let me paint that in. This is the house down here. Okay, I think you can see on camera kind of where it's at. Alright. I'm going to stay with this round. I've got a 3 round, but you can go down to a 2 or a 1 round, whatever is most comfortable for you. So this house has a door right here. Now you can put your pattern on and do this with a pattern, which might be easier. We've got a big picture window over here on this side, but we won't see a whole lot of this because we have a lot of snow and icicles coming off of the roof. So, okay, I'm going to wash that out because it had a lot of paint in it. I'm going to take some of that blue and I know on my original one I floated, which would be a lot softer. So let's see, because that Admiral Blue is really dark and I want more of a softer color. So let me show you how I load my brush for floating. First, I spray, let me back you up just a little bit. I spray water drops because you need water when you float. Okay? Then, all the water off the barrel of my brush there. When I need water, I pick it up over here on the curved, I'm using a curved flat. You can use an angle brush or a flat brush, whatever you're comfortable with. I pick it up on this curved edge over here. If my paint is dry, I will also pick it up across the whole brush. So when I load, I dip the pointy toe, not the curved part, into some water, or into some paint. Usually I'm right by my paint, but since I've already made a mess over there by it, I'll just do it over here. And then I make a little V. And I just give soft pressure as I'm loading my brush. I want my brush to be soft. When I go to paint with it, if I have softness here, that's exactly how it's going to paint for me. Okay, so I want to put this, let me get it where you can see it, underneath the eave here. Just a little bit more paint. Quite as dark as I want it to be. Okay, we would go along here. Down the edge here. This outside edge. I'm trying not to cover up all of my house. But I know on my original one I covered up quite a bit of it as well. Put a little bit over here. Down this edge. My easel thing here keeps sliding. That's no fun. Okay. So we've got our house kind of based in there. Now we want to add snow onto the house. I'm going to go back to my round brush. And I'm going to start with winter blue because I want to build the snow up slowly. So along the top of the door, there's going to be a little bit, I've got way too much water in my brush. Okay, top of the door, there's going to be a little bit above the window, a little bit, maybe along this area here. We've got our roof ready to get snow on it as well. Okay, now I want to go into white. Same brush, I just washed it off. A little bit of white up here. This is kind of a dabbing thing. A little bit up here. We can have it along here where maybe it's blowed up against the house a little bit. We'll come back and add the snow all around underneath it here in a minute. So now we want to start creating some snow like on the roof itself. So I am just going to streak down with some snow, and you can go to a liner brush to create some of these icicles on here. So I'm just staying up on the very tip toe of this brush. Get some icicles on there. Get some hanging down here. I want to build quite a bit of snow up on this roof. Just drag it down. icicles, icicles, icicles. Ooh, that's a fat icicle. I'd have to go to a liner brush here I'm having. Liner brush would probably be easier for you guys, so don't use a round brush like I'm doing. Unless you are very, very proficient with a round brush. Okay, I want that snow a little bit brighter, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And I think I'm going to have to get my liner brush out because I do not like. Okay, I've got a 10-0 liner. It's a script liner. I am going to add some water to my white paint. So I dip my brush in water. I pull out. Get you on camera. Pull out some paint. Do it as many times as you need to. I want that to be inky consistency, and then I roll my brush. If my brush has a lot of water and paint in it, then I'm going to wash my brush out and start and just load it fresh. Alright, while I've got this liner brush, I'm going to put some clouds streaking across the moon here. Maybe a few more brighter clouds in the sky. Just wiggling that along a little bit. Alright. Let's go ahead and put our chimney on our house. We are going to do a brush mix of Santa Red and Admiral Blue. So that is, a brush mix is usually equal amounts, and you can adjust it one way or the other, more red, more blue, whatever you like. So we want kind of a dark red. We don't want a bright red. So this is 1 part Admiral Blue, 1 part Santa Red. So you see how deep that red is. Okay, so we're just going to place our chimney in. Need some water because my paint's not moving. That chimney's a little bit bigger than what I intended it to be. I'm going to add some snow kind of on it, around it. Okay. Now I'm going to take a round brush, get a little bit of white paint on it. I want to create some smoke coming out of the chimney. It's just a wiggle. Just a little wiggle thing. You can have it going straight up, you can have it going that direction. Probably not that direction. You don't want it to cut across your line of sight there. So more going off that way or straight up towards the moon. I think my original one was straight up towards the moon. I think I will brighten that just a little bit right here. That's where the thickest smoke is going to be, coming right out of that chimney. So we're going to make that a little thicker. I know you won't see these lines once everything else goes on here. You won't even notice them, but I want to put some lines in the door. You do not have to do this. Like for wood, the illusion of it's a wood door. Alright, let's see where we're going from here. Let me read my instructions here. Okay, we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and put my other trees in, and then we're going to add snow around everything. So we're going back to the Admiral Blue with our 4 filbert. Okay, so I want to put some bigger trees in over here. Not going to be the same as my original one. You can already tell I'm doing it completely different. side there. Okay, and then we have another big tree. I'm going to add a little bit of winter blue to this. Just a touch. We've got another big tree down here. Need a little water. My paint's a little thicker than I want. Just tap, tap, tap. Just keep getting it bigger and bigger as you go down. Okay. Alright, there's our foreground tree. And then we've got a little tree right about here, I think. Got put our snowman in here a little bit. Okay. So that's how we do our trees on here. Okay, now we're going to start adding some snow. I am going to get a 8 flat. I think I want a 10 flat. I have a good one. You need to have a good tip on your brush. I'm not sure this one's. The brushes are getting kind of warm. It's about time for me to replace some of these. I use them so much. Okay. We're just going to. You can use a flat brush. You can use a filbert. Whatever. We're going to start putting the snow kind of in the ground here. So I've got my flat brush, I've got some loaded on it, not a lot, and we're just going to go in like a sawing motion, adding some snow. Around the house. We have a little kind of pathway through here, so let's see if I can create that. Just rubbing back and forth, just on the edge of the toe of that. Just when I go to pick up paint, I'm not picking up very much because I don't want a lot of paint coming off on this. This is just our first little layer of snow here. We're gonna adding more. Turn this upside down. I need some water, so I'm going to go into my clean water. Whenever you need to thin your paint for your white paint, you want to always remember to go into your clean water. Okay, I know I'm getting into my tree here, but that's okay. We're going to be covering that tree with some snow here in a minute. So we've got a little bit of snow going on right now, okay? Now I want to work on lightening our trees. So for the distant trees, they're still going to need to have some snow on them. So we're going to use just winter blue on them. And we're going to put it on just like we did the other, only we're not going to cover the whole tree. Just like we did that. They've got snow on them. Put another tree right there, I think. Left here. To get some more. Put one quick tree in the background back there. So, set that down. Right here. On my snow, so I'll have to brighten that snow up. Okay, back into the Admiral blue. Get the water out of my brush. Okay, so this one. I mean, we're not in the Admiral blue, we're in the winter blue. And some snow on the background trees. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the same color on the foreground trees. Okay, I'm going to cover the tree completely. It's just a gentle, easy tap, tap, tap kind of thing. This big one here. Now we'll start pushing a little bit harder because this is a bigger tree. A little bit more coverage on that one. Same with this one. Take more paint. Alright, we've got our first little layer of snow on the trees, okay? I need some fresh winter blue here. We're going to take some winter blue and mix it with a little bit of white. And I know you're probably thinking, that's a lot of layers for those trees. Well, it isn't, because you're not putting a lot of paint on each time. But you want to build your layers so that your trees have more depth. They just don't look flat. So I'm going to mix equal amounts of winter blue and snow white, and we're going to put this color on the closer trees. We're doing less and less on each tree as we build the layer because we don't want to completely cover up all that blue that dark blue that we started with. This one might get a little bit more because it's maybe getting some reflection from that moon. Just going to get a little. I'm keeping you in camera here. Okay, and this one here. Add a little bit more white to that mix. Okay, see how we're building the layers for those trees? Now we're going to go to straight snow white. And we will probably do snow white a couple of times because it can fade back in there pretty good. And we want these trees to be bright and stand out. Definitely be doing our white a couple of times. Just a little bit on this one. As you go down the tree, you push harder with the brush. Especially when the tree gets bigger, you want to push harder with that brush. Okay, this little guy here. Do all white. Now, the next time we do white, we're going to try and find our really bright sides of our trees, if they have a bright side. So where the moon would be reflecting on the tree. Okay, so let's go with our white again. Now, this tree right here, since the moon's over here, we know the moon's glow is going to be on this side. So this time, wipe a little bit of that off. I'm going to put a little bit at the top up here. We're going to just do it on this side of the tree. 2. I think I'll have to add a little bit back on this side because it's kind of lost its shape there. Okay, now on these, they will get it on the opposite side. This one will get just a little bit back here. This one will get it all on this side. Okay. This one, we'll just put it straight in the middle. It's not really getting any reflection from the moon, so, and then this one will get it mostly on the side. Okay, see how we're building those layers? Now, these two back here, I think need a little bit more. Okay. So now we've created a lot more depth and light within the piece itself. So I'm just going to stay with this filbert brush. We need more snow now. So I'm going to put a little bit on the roof. We want to brighten up all of our snow. Roof line there. And we want to start creating a lot more like snow mounds. So I am just taking the brush, kind of staying up on the toe and wiggling it. We want to put some back in there too because there'll be some drifts back in there. A little bit around the house. These trees. You just kind of wiggle and move it. Hope that wasn't an angle that you could tell what I was doing. I apologize if it wasn't. And then you just continue. We'll have a little bit of stuff going across the walk here. And we just want to keep brightening. I think I know why I had the taped off, because then I could go out past the tape and not have to worry so much about these edges. Alright, let's create a little bit of deep stuff by the, we still got our snowman to add in. Snowman, we're only doing one. Okay, we'll probably come back and add a little bit more white here in a little bit. Let's do our snowman. We are going to base him in. I'm just going to use a round brush. I'm just going to kind of wing him here. Look at my pattern and see what he looks like, where he's at. He's over here. So we're going to do 3 balls. I'm doing Snow White. To dry him real quick. Find my pen. He looks a little lopsided to me. So I'm going to try and straighten him out. Okay. 2 coats of white. Let me dry him because we're going to shade him with some winter blue. So I'm using a number 6 curved flat, loading it just like I showed you a while ago in that little V. Okay, so we want to shade his sections wiped my brush on my paper towel because I wanted to make sure I didn't have too much paint on my brush. Okay, so now you can see he's 3 sections. He's also going to be shaded on this side. Just a little bit there. The moon is going to be reflecting on this side a little bit more. Now, I didn't get a whole lot of detail with his face or anything, so we won't stress out about that because he's just a little guy. We are going to mix the Santa Red and the Admiral Blue like we did for the chimney. A little bit more blue this time probably. I don't want it to become purple, but I want the blue to be, that is almost purple, but I want it to be dark, not bright. And Admiral Blue can be bright, so I just want to tone it down a little bit darker. We are going to do his arms with this. So I've got a liner brush. Stay up on the very tippy toe of it. You don't want great big huge fat arms on this little bitty snowman. On each side, a little bit of water. This one over here did get a little bit, oops, I didn't even have you on camera there. Sorry about that. This one over here did get a little bit darker than what I wanted because I like how this one is. It's very small, but what can you do? Okay, I'm going to take that same, he's not going to have a carrot nose. We're just going to give him all coal features because he's so small. So we're just going to dot for the eye, maybe, if I can get my paint to flow. A little water to it. A little dot for the eye. Again, maybe. More water. Let's try this again. Still not getting enough paint to come off. Ooh. Of course, now we do. Okay, now we're going to give him the mouth. Give me a little nose. He's almost a scary looking one. A little bit too much on that one eye there. Oh, we'll take some white and fix him. Just paint, man. Just paint. Alright. We don't need to see too much detail on him anyway. Alright, for his scarf, now it's going to be straight Santa Red. So, let's see. I just put a little bit of water. I really want that red to flow. Just put it around his neck like that. Okay? And I made one coming down here and one coming down over here. I can make some little, if you so desire, some little tassels coming off the end of it. Mine didn't turn out so whoopee, so do not do that if you don't feel like you want to. Okay, now we are going to add some more snow on here. Get some fresh white. And this bottle of Snow White that I have doesn't seem to be very thick. So let's get some snow around the snowman. Pile it up. We're just going to add more snow in all the areas where we need some deep snow drifts. Any place that you feel it needs. Ooh, that's a lot of snow, man. I think that looks pretty good on that seam right there. Okay, now we want to add some glamour dust on here. We are going to put this on the trees. Let's see, I put it on the right sides and on the roof and a few in some snowdrifts. So it's Glamour Dust Ice Crystal. I love this product. It's probably one of my favorite decor products. You cannot get enough sparkle at winter time, I don't think. So I'm going to take my filbert brush and I want to put this on the brightest side where the moon is reflecting. You can put it on your whole tree if you want. I don't know. There, you can see some of that sparkle on there. Ooh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. You can put as many coats on there as you want. You can seal over this stuff. It doesn't lose its sparkle. It is awesome, awesome. Just tapping it on the brightest side. This little tree. Oh, shoot. I dipped into white. I don't want to do that. This little tree, I'm going to do the whole thing. Just because. Getting some sparkle in there. Now I'm going to add some, here and there to some snow. And I will probably repeat all of this. I don't want to put it on my snowman because I like him just the way he is. Alright, a little bit more. More sparkle. Love the sparkle. Especially on that roof, man. Just reminds me of all the sparkly postcards you used to get at Christmas. It's not really showing you the sparkle as much as I want it to show you, but it's really cool. Really, really. Okay. Alright, now, the outside of this oval. I did my original one with a little bitty, teeny tiny star stencil, but I cannot find that stencil at all. So I'm just going to freehand some stars. You can put dots on the back. I need to get my metal powders out. I've got them buried here on my pegboard. Okay, we are going to use silver metal powder. This is a product that you get from Patricia Rawlinson. This ornament also came from her website. Excuse my arm in front of the camera. So we're going to use this silver metal powder. Okay, I'm going to show you how to mix it. We are going to need our matte varnish. I'm going to wide angle out because I do not want to do this at an angle because it will just go everywhere. This. Alright, so we've got our palette paper here. So we want to dump some, this is just matte varnish. You can use satin, gloss, whatever you want to use. Okay, so I just put a little puddle of it out there. And hopefully my fan won't blow these metal powders everywhere. They're just metal powders. I'm going to scoop up some, put it in my it in my varnish right here. You could also mix this with paint. But I like to mix it with varnish. It just, this stuff is awesome. And she has so many different colors on her website. Copper, bronze, gold, silver, pewter. I mean, she has quite the variety. And she has these little jars. Are like, I would consider them sample size jars, but they're you know, they're a good size. I mean, they hold a lot. But then she has this size jar as well, so you can choose your sizes. Okay, close that back up because I don't want any moisture getting into it because this is metal. Okay. Take my palette knife off. See the shine on there? Ooh, 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 love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Alright. Let me get my easel back up here. I'm also going to get out, well, no, I'm not going to do that because that's not what I'm going to use. Alright, we're going to use a round brush here. And I am just going to create some stars on here. Probably would be smarter for me to just do dots, but I'll try to wing some stars to make it as close to my original piece for what the pattern will show. Well, it'd be nice if you were on camera and seeing what I'm doing, right? I'm definitely going to have to readjust my camera. I do not have it anywhere near where I had it before. So, just making some little stars on here. You will make stars on the back as well, or if you've got a Christmas stamp that you like, you could stamp the back. Oh, that one's huge. I can already tell I'm not following my pattern, so just ignore what I'm doing here and you do it any way you want. Some of these are not going to look like stars at all, but you'll kind of get the idea. Okay, I feel like it's a little busy over here on this side, but what can you do? Alright, now I want to keep this round brush, and I'm just going to do some stroke work. Okay, so we're going to go around the center. I'm going to start with 2 dots. And I'm just going to do a comma stroke. So you lay the brush down, 2 dots. Okay, you lay the brush down, you give pressure. As you get to how far you want it to be, you let off of the pressure. Continue around the whole entire piece. We'll do the inside circle and the outside. None of my comma strokes on my first one were the same size, and they won't be the same size on this one. I just made those 2 dots very thick, so I hope on this angle they don't start running, because that would be bad. And I also hope that wherever this ends, it ends right. Because you never know when you're going around an oval or a circle if it's going to end the way you want it to end. And if you wanted, you could go halfway this way and then halfway this way and have them meet at the bottom. It is your ornament. If you are painting this, you just go right ahead and take creative liberties there. I want to inspire you to paint, not tell you how to paint. That might be better. If I lay that down a little bit flatter, maybe my paint won't try to escape. Okay, that ended pretty good. Okay, so we've gone around the center. I love how that makes it look like an old ornament, an old Christmas card. I just love it. Okay, so we're going to start up here and do the same thing. outside. Dot, dot, comma stroke. Dot, dot, comma stroke. Dot, dot, comma stroke. You don't have to talk to yourself like I'm doing. Unless it's something you formed a habit of doing, then by all means. I don't want to interfere with the process. Okay, we're also going to paint this silver on the top and bottom. Oh, looky there, I didn't end well. Well, that's how it goes, man. Okay, I want to get a little bit bigger brush. We are going to paint the top and the bottom. I'm not going to show you how to paint the back because that is going to be your choice, whether you want to put stars on the back, which is what I did on my original one, or if you want to stamp something on it, or whatever you want to do. Paint a whole nother scene on the other side, whatever. Alright, so for the bracket, and I'm going to place a piece of paper under this. I don't want to get it all over my easel. We're just going to brush on this silver. Want to get your edges as well. I really don't want it running down into all of that, all those cracks. So I've got some little cute tips. Cutie tips. And these also came from Patricia Rawlinson. I have been unable to find them anywhere else, so. Oops. Right up to the blue. And base coating it with the gray is perfect for this because then, you know, it covers well. There to that. Alright, get my edges without putting my fingers in everything else. You'll want to paint the back of it as well. The back of the bracket. It would be helpful if I had you on camera so you could see what I was doing. So I haven't videotaped for a few days and I just moved my camera and had it doing something else with it. And now everything's cockeyed and I keep getting off frame. So, I am sorry, sorry, sorry. Make sure you don't have any ridges on your edges from it. Paint the back. This will dry very quickly because it's got the sealer in it, and the sealer dries very quick. And you should just need one coat. I mean, you can put 2 coats on it if you want. I made enough over here to probably do 5 ornaments. Stuff goes a long ways. Got to get that dry, so let me get it dry. We're going to come back and shade on the top and the bottom, and then we'll be done. Okay, we are going to finish this up by shading on the top and the bottom edges. Get some fresh paint out here. When you get to the end of a project, you always try to use the paint that's on your palette. But in this case, I'm going to have to squirt a little bit more out. Okay. We are going to shade with Admiral Blue. I'm just using a flat brush here. We're just going to go around all of the edges. mop that one. A little thick line there. Didn't like it. Okay, I'm going to go around this outside edge. More paint, less water. Mop, mop, mop. And then to hang this, you'll just put a ribbon through these two lines here. You can seal it, or varnish it, I guess I should say. I'm mopping this to remove a little bit of that paint because it was a little darker than what I liked. Too much water off of my brush. Any water drops left. Okay, and I think I also shaded, I'm going to do this. I have to look at instructions, but on my picture it looks like I did this. I'm going to float inside this circle here. I don't want my float to get carried away, so I'm going to go to a 10 curved flat. Yep, 10. I want this a soft float. Inside here. A bit too much paint there. Mop, mop, mop. All the way around on the inside. Mopping as you go. Look at it and see if I need to darken it or widen the float, I guess I should say, not necessarily darken it. I don't want it any darker than what I'm making it, but I may need to widen it. Run out of water drops over here. Still got silver over here on my palette, so if I need to, too far on my brush here. If I need to touch up any of my silver, if I'm getting blue over in it, I can do that. Okay, that really finished that off nicely. I think we've got a finished ornament here. Thanks once again for painting with me.